In this video, you'll be learning about this topic.
So Samson, I'm curious, for a guy who's so dialed in on the technology and the engineering front, what are you most excited about moving into the coming 5 years? Not just this year, but like literally if we could jump fast forward 5 years into the future, what's this world that you see we're moving into?
Near term, I'm very interested in security tokens, and I've steered Blockstream in the direction where we're working on products and tools that can enable that. But 5 to 10 years out, I hope that we'll see more privacy becoming the norm. So we hope that with Liquid, it'll normalize that idea of confidential transactions and having people value privacy and confidentiality. And I think if you look at a lot of the stuff that Blockstream is doing, we're trying to re-architect financial markets and make everything compatible with Bitcoin. So Liquid is a step in that direction. Lightning is a step in that direction. So you mentioned earlier about Adam saying Liquid is layer 1.5. The reason for that is because Liquid is its own chain. So it's not a layer 2 like Lightning, but we can also have a layer 2 on top of Liquid. So this is where it gets tricky for people to conceptualize, because you can have Lightning on top of Bitcoin, but you can also have Lightning on top of Liquid Bitcoin, and on top of Liquid assets. So imagine any stablecoin. You can have a Lightning network for that stablecoin. And once you have that, you have enough TPS to service the world. Like you could use that to buy your coffee, and there's no barrier to that.
So what you're really getting at, and I want to see if this is what you're saying. If I own stock in Apple, and Apple actually tokenized their stock certificate, so I didn't have to go through whatever, right, to own it, E-Trade. But I'm now buying my Apple stock on Liquid as a security token. Mm-hmm. And then you run Lightning on top of that security token. I can now transact. If I go to Starbucks, right, I can literally transact with my Apple stock certificates. Is that what you're getting at?
Theoretically, yes. The question is, do they accept that as payment? But you could have a middleman switches it out or swaps it with something else for a different asset. But yeah, in theory, what you just said is possible. But I guess you could say like the goal of Blockstream is that we would make the entire market into a dark pool. So nobody knows what anyone is trading with anyone else. And that would really democratize a lot of things. So first, security tokens, I think, democratize a lot of capital formation and financing. You can tokenize your company's equity and offer it out. And I think the way that the winds are shifting now, we're starting to have the perfect landscape to be able to do this. So security tokens first started coming out a little bit in 2017, but they kind of fizzled out. But I think there were missing pieces. So the first big piece is the regulatory environment. And I believe the regulatory environment has shifted to become favorable for the issuance of security tokens. So I have a game company, Pixelmatic, is issuing a security token for Infinite Fleet, our game. And we're working with Stalker out of Luxembourg to do a security token for Europe. And the whole regulatory process is not that cumbersome and not that time consuming. So within probably 6 to 9 months, we can get a prospectus out and it could be publicly offered. In the US, you have, you must know this one, like Reg CF was changed to allow up to 5 million in fundraising, right? But you also have Reg D and Reg A plus filings that you can do. And those are not that cumbersome either. And the cost is not that extreme. So I could see a lot more companies going this route of regulated token issuance or security token to raise that capital. And with the Reg A plus filing, it's tradable by anybody. There's no limits on trading. You're not bound to only accredited investors. So that is one piece of the puzzle. The other piece of the puzzle is the technology, which I believe that we can provide with Liquid and Blockstream AMP for the issuance and management of these tokens. And then the final piece is venues. And I think you saw in the news a couple of days ago, Bittrex announced that they are going to support tokenized stocks or trading of stocks. But there are many other exchanges working on being able to support the trading of security tokens. If not the issuance, then at least secondary markets. So with these three pieces, you have the perfect recipe for security tokens getting big. And the other part is tokenizing traditional equities, like you said, Apple stock. I think that is coming too. Perhaps some bigger companies will allocate a portion of their stock to become security tokens. The reason why I'm excited about all this is because the environment has changed. And it's kind of like what led to Tesla being able to dominate, right? It's the battery technology catching up to the point where Elon Musk can say, okay, now I can make electric cars cheap enough for the mass market. And then you put together a plan. You start with the Roadster first and you sell a limited amount, and you can go to another lower end vehicle. Well, not that low, but then you have the Model S, and then you have the X, and then you get to mass market with the Model 3 and Y. So it's just the path to the goal you want is now open because technology has enabled that. Same for Apple with the iPhone, right? Capacitive touch and better processing power means you can have a tablet that is now the size of a phone, and it's responsive, and the battery life lasts more than a couple hours. So it's a game changer. And I think for security tokens, we're seeing the same thing, which is the environment is now permitting them to flourish.
If I'm a regulator and I'm hearing you talk about all of these things, I mean, I'm on edge, right? I'm scared to death. I'm saying, oh my God, they're doing it in this permissionless way. I can't track who's doing anything. It might cause this overreaction to a 180 of like, well, if this is the direction this is going, well, we can't allow any of it. Is that what you're hearing? Is that what you're seeing? Or are you actually seeing them do the opposite, which is embrace it?
Well, I believe they're embracing this. Otherwise, they wouldn't change the Reg CF regs or allow for Reg A+. I think they want you to register and they want you to be compliant. And they'd rather you do it this way than run an ICO and then run away with people's money, which is what we saw in the past. So this is preferable. I believe that they're not worried about it because if you are doing these filings, you need to comply. You have to KYC your customers. You're a security, right? Ultimately, you can't just sell to anybody, but it's once you've set it up. So this is what Blockstream AMP enables. You can issue the token, and if the regulations change, you can change the rules that are applied to your token. So you can tighten the whitelist, you can freeze, you can reissue, you can manage these cryptographic tokens that are representing equity, and it's a very powerful thing. So you can evolve as the regulation evolves with this tool set.
Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on the next podcast episode and new investing resources.
What are your takeaways and thoughts on this discussion? Let us know in the comments section below.